For more than a century, man has attempted to understand enigmatic images in the sky. And with advanced technology, the team is now closer than ever.
This is a scientific benchmark test.
Using a thermal imaging camera, the team tries to prove once and for all
Look at that helicopter, it's amazing.
that the unidentified flying object videotaped over Florida in 1991 is not of this world. More than 15 years ago, police officers in Florida using a thermal imaging device unexpectedly filmed an anomalous flying object.
I didn't know what it was.
Now, back in Los Angeles, the team performs further scientific experiments with FLIR cameras at the lab of experiments producer John Tyndall.
We're outside the lab today because we wanted to set up a little demonstration that would illustrate what the police officers went through that night in the helicopter with the FLIR camera.
They said they couldn't see anything with the naked eye that night. And there are people who question, well, if you can't see it with the naked eye, is that valid? So what we're going to do is do a comparison and see, can we see John with the visible light versus the infrared light?
The team explores the capabilities and limitations of infrared technology.
Here I go. I'm going into the void.
John, cloaked in black, demonstrates how a seemingly invisible object
I can't see him at all.
He's disappeared.
can still be detected with this technology.
And now look at the camera. You know, plain as day, there's his figure. So, I mean, look, try raising hands.
How does this relate to the FLIR case?
The helicopter footage, there was no moon that night. There were no spotlights on the front of the helicopter. So there was no way that with a visible eye they would either pick up any emitting light off of the object that they detected, but on the other hand, it was hot. And so this camera is picking that up.
See, well, this really exemplifies what happened where they were able to see an object through their FLIR camera, even though they couldn't see it visually, never actually saw it visually, and that object stayed with them, always on the FLIR camera. The thing with the FLIR camera is it only gets an image based on the ambient heat of the object itself from the background atmosphere. So you really can't tell if an object is far away what the shape is. All you know is the heat that it's throwing off.
According to Ted, there's still one theory worth investigating.
As a pilot myself, I've flown imagery helicopter for NASA, and maybe it's a solid object like a helicopter at distance, but the camera system is defocused, which is blurring it. And we've got to look for any evidence I can find that would prove or disprove that hypothesis.
Did the distorted heat signature of a helicopter produce this puzzling image?
I knew this was going to be a tough case.
The team, along with UFO researcher Ronnie Milione, travels to Corona, California to test this hypothesis.
So I had the FLIR system guys send me an actual camera, which has the same exact specs of the 3000 camera that they had back in the UHO case.
See, Pat, we're going to benchmark this. This is a scientific benchmark test. My friends at Corona PD are going to take a helicopter up. Ronnie's going to film it with this camera at the set to the same specs as the one 10 years ago. We're going to compare a real helicopter on infrared to the images from Florida. And we're going to see at the end of the day, are they the same or are they not the same?
The team meets Police Sergeant Neil Reynolds, a helicopter pilot for the Corona Police Department.
Can you explain, like, where would be the, say, heat signatures in your particular aircraft here?
On our aircraft, the hot areas be the exhaust port right here.
Okay.
Then the engine's underneath it, which is extremely warm as well. Another hot area would be the transmission under the rotor mast here. And lastly, the tail rotor gearbox back there.
So a prototypical image from a FLIR of another helicopter would be a diminished image of the top rotors and a stronger image of the tail rotor.
Right, or the tail rotor area where the gearbox is right at the back of the tail boom.
Ronnie starts the FLIR camera as the helicopter lifts off.
Look at that, right there. There he is.
There you go.
There you go. Now, okay, now look at that helicopter. It's amazing.
This is very exciting. Okay, look, we've got it on tape, guys. Let's get Sergeant Reynolds, let him see both, and make a decision.
Sergeant Reynolds helps the team analyze the FLIR footage.
This is set in black hot, so hottest parts are going to show darker. Cooler parts will show light.
I would never confuse that for anything but a helicopter. I'm seeing rotors
You can see
The rotor blades are very distinguishable in this.
See, the closer it gets, Pat, the more defined the shape is.
That's right.
The further away the helicopter is, the less defined the shape is. Then let's see what happens when a helicopter goes far away, just like the other one. You know what that is? It's a helicopter.
That's a helicopter.
The infrared camera gives enough detail to identify the helicopter, regardless of its distance. The team now compares this new image of a helicopter with the unidentified image from 1991.
Does its performance in the air look like a conventional aircraft to you?
Yeah, it actually doesn't seem abnormal for helicopter flight. Something else that I would be interested in seeing is a gain or focus change, because if the gain is set incorrectly or the focus is out, it can take just that dark heat image and overpower the rest of the image of what you're looking at.
The team scans the footage of the helicopter for any moments that are unfocused or overexposed.
Watch what's going to happen. Look, the camera goes out of focus. Sergeant, what do you think?
I think that's how the other one was filmed.
Look at that.
Look at that.
You tell me you see a difference between the two of them?
Resembles to me, though, is images that I've seen before. An object that the gain and focus is out and it's overwhelmed the rest of the detail of the object.
The team can manipulate footage of a helicopter to make it look very similar to what Mark Patterson filmed. But Patterson insists that his camera was always in focus.
You can tell by the cursors moving that it's in focus. You will start to see the detail on the ground, that you can tell the trees and the bushes. You can tell where the water is.
So we've got a long depth of focus.
Could you call that object a helicopter? If you had to file a report, a professional report, based on this video evidence, would you call that object a helicopter?
My first gut reaction would say it's a helicopter, but in a professional report that I'm going to go to court testify on, I couldn't say.
Would you say you're not certain?
I would say I'm not certain.
I think we really had an experience with this FLIR footage.
To the limit of my technical skill, I cannot positively identify what that object was. It may have been a helicopter, but we have no way to really prove that it was.
And it's very possible that the Florida FLIR footage is a helicopter. But the thing is, all the experts tell us otherwise. They say it was not a helicopter, and they're firm on that. We have an expert guy on the FLIR, we have an expert pilot, we have Bruce Maccabee analyzing the footage. They all say it's not a helicopter.
More and more, policemen all over the world are coming forward with detailed and credible reports of encounters that cannot be explained.
These are the people whose eyewitness testimony we trust as credible, except when it comes to UFOs. And that's what's so frightening to me.
Could all these highly trained witnesses be misconstruing ordinary objects into UFOs? Or are their reports simply official confirmation of what thousands of people have been seeing for years?